the soul split. Why rare beings are born to carry opposing forces. There's a reason some people feel like they don't belong anywhere. There's a reason you've always sensed that you were carrying something others couldn't see, couldn't understand, and definitely couldn't hold. You've lived your entire life in between polarities. You've been both light and shadow, both chaos and clarity, both stillness and storm. And while most people try to cling to one side, to define themselves by light or dark, good or bad, spiritual or material, you've never had that luxury. You've been pulled in both directions, not because something is wrong with you, but because something is exceptionally right. You are one of the rare chosen ones who can wield duality forces. That's not a metaphor. That's a spiritual fact. And the world has no roadmap for people like you. From the very beginning, your life wasn't like other people's. While others seemed to fit into roles, identities, belief systems, you were always wondering who you really were. One day, you felt like a healer. The next, you felt like a destroyer. One moment, you were full of divine compassion, and the next, you were consumed by fierce rage. You thought this meant you were unstable, or worse, broken. But what if I told you it meant you were complete in ways others haven't even begun to comprehend? What if your ability to embody opposites wasn't a sign of dysfunction, but of sacred design? Duality forces aren't just philosophical concepts. They are the raw energies that shape reality. Light and dark, masculine and feminine, expansion and contraction, life and death. And while most people are wired to live on one side of the spectrum, you were born to walk the edge between them. Because only from the edge can you see both sides. And only from that place can you begin the true work, weaving them together. This is the first sign. Your life has always been a paradox. You're kind, but people have feared you. You're intuitive, but you've questioned everything. You walk into a room and feel everything, but often say nothing. You've been the black sheep and the secret leader. You've had profound spiritual insights and yet fallen into the darkest places of despair. That contradiction is not a flaw. It's your training ground, because only those who have survived both heaven and hell can guide others through both. You didn't just read about darkness, you went there. You didn't just imagine light, you became it after being shattered. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid extremes. You were initiated by them. And those initiations were brutal, weren't they? They stripped you of illusions, comforts, and any sense of control. But they gave you something else in return, something far more valuable. The ability to hold truth without needing it to be pretty. That's what makes you rare. That's what makes you powerful. The second sign is this. You're a mirror, and people either love you or reject you instantly. Why? Because your very presence reveals the parts of themselves they've hidden. You don't even have to say anything. Just being in your energy field can trigger unspoken truths in others. This isn't because you're trying to expose them. It's because your frequency is already coded to reflect wholeness. And wholeness includes the parts people are desperate to avoid. Your light activates their potential, but your shadow activates their shame. And they don't know what to do with that. Some are drawn to you like you're a portal. Others run from you like you're a threat. And sometimes they do both. This can be confusing for you. You wonder why relationships explode, why people project onto you, why you're either idolized or demonized. But it's not about you personally. It's about the frequency you carry. You are a living embodiment of duality integration, and most people haven't even begun to integrate their own internal war. This leads us to the third sign. You've always felt like you were being prepared for something bigger, even when you couldn't define it. You've had dreams, visions, moments of intuitive knowing that made no logical sense, but felt more real than reality itself. You've walked through life like you were being watched, not in a paranoid way, but in a sacred way, like something beyond this world was guiding you, testing you, shaping you. You've noticed signs when you're at your lowest, strange synchronicities, repeating numbers, animals appearing with messages, people saying things that feel like they were channeling directly to your soul. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations. You are on a different kind of path. You are not here to be normal. You are here to become a vessel for something that transcends this dimension. And in order to carry duality forces, you had to be emptied of everything that made you cling to just one side. That's why your life has felt like a series of deaths and rebirths. You're not being punished, you're being refined. Now ask yourself something. Have you ever felt like you were living multiple lives in one body? Like you were one person in the morning and someone else by night? Like you could be the wise mentor in one conversation and the wounded child in the next? If so, that's the fourth sign. Your soul carries multiple archetypes, and they are all active. You're not just one thing. You're a warrior, a mystic, a rebel, a nurturer, a destroyer, a creator, all wrapped into one incarnated being. Most people identify with one dominant energy, but you are many, and you've been asked to integrate them all. That's why your inner world feels so complex. That's why your identity has never been fixed. You weren't meant to choose a single archetype. You were meant to embody the spectrum and operate from the center. And that center is not stillness. It's not neutrality in the boring sense. It's the dynamic harmony of all forces dancing together, guided by conscious presence. That's who you are. Not the light, not the dark, but the wielder of both. Let's go even deeper now. The fifth sign is that you've always had an unusual relationship with power. You fear it, yet you crave it. You've seen how it corrupts, yet you also know it can heal. You've had moments where you access deep energetic power, maybe through meditation, breath work, intense emotion, or even spontaneous downloads, and it scared you. You pulled back. You questioned your sanity. You thought, who am I to carry this? But here's the truth. You were born to carry power because you understand it. You've been wounded by it. You've misused it. You've been oppressed by it. And that's exactly why you can now wield it consciously. Duality forces are dangerous in the wrong hands. That's why only a few are called, and even fewer say yes. But you didn't just say yes, you survived the initiations. That's why you're here, listening, remembering. Because the universe is preparing you to step into that power, not for your ego, but for the collective. You're not here to dominate. You're here to liberate. You're not crazy, you're coded for complexity. The secret mechanics of a duality initiate. You're not crazy. You're not too much. You're not broken. You are coded for complexity. But the world you were born into was built to reward simplicity, predictability, black and white thinking. So of course you felt like something was wrong with you. Of course you questioned your own mind. One day you're deeply connected to Source, channeling wisdom that feels older than the stars, and the next day you're curled in bed, doubting your worth, lost in memories that feel like they don't even belong to this lifetime. That's not instability, that's multidimensional awareness. You are tuned into multiple layers of reality all at once. While others are reacting to surface-level events, you're feeling the ripple of things that haven't even happened yet, or echoes of things that happened lifetimes ago. And that level of perception is not easy to carry. It doesn't come with a manual, but it does come with a purpose. And the more you understand how your system works, the less you'll fear your own intensity. Let's talk about your nervous system. Most people don't realize that chosen ones, especially those who carry duality codes, have highly advanced sensory fields. Your body is not just a body. It's an antenna, a transmitter, a decoder. You pick up on shifts in energy before they reach the physical plane. You feel people's unspoken emotions. You can walk into a room and know if something happened there days ago. And because of this, your system often goes into overload. You might feel anxious for no reason, get exhausted in crowds, or even experience psychosomatic symptoms that Western medicine can't explain. But this isn't pathology. It's spiritual sensitivity. Your vessel was designed to hold both light and shadow, both density and lightness at the same time. That's why regulation and grounding aren't optional for you. They're sacred practices. You need space. You need silence. You need nature. Not because you're fragile, but because you're powerful, and power needs containment. You're not meant to numb or block the signals. You're meant to learn how to read them. This leads us into the sixth sign. You've had moments where you felt like you were channeling something that wasn't entirely you. Maybe it was during a deep conversation, a creative flow, a meditation, or even in a crisis. You spoke or acted with a clarity that surprised even you. You accessed knowledge you never studied. You moved with a grace or fire that felt ancient. That was not imagination. That was you stepping into your expanded self. You see, you are not just one consciousness. You are a network of consciousnesses, layered across time, space, and dimension. And when you're in alignment, when your ego gets quiet enough, you become a vessel for the higher intelligence encoded in your soul. This is why duality initiates are often artists, healers, leaders, or visionaries. Not because they're trying to be, but because their very essence is transmission. You don't need to build a stage. You are the stage. Every moment you live in integrity. You're broadcasting frequencies that shift reality, even when you don't say a word. So let me ask you something you may have never dared to answer. What if your deepest emotional struggles weren't signs of failure, but signs of preparation? What if the reason you felt torn apart so many times is because your soul was being stretched wide enough to carry the full spectrum of human experience? What if your depression wasn't just a chemical imbalance, but a sacred descent into the underworld to retrieve lost parts of yourself? What if your rage wasn't something to suppress, but a divine fire clearing ancestral trauma from your bloodline? What if your confusion was actually the unraveling of inherited programming that was never yours to carry? You see, chosen ones who can wield duality are not here to be comfortable. We are here to transform the codes of reality. And that means going where others won't, feeling what others can't, healing what others fear. You are not here to escape darkness. You are here to merge with it without losing your light. That is the ultimate mastery, and that is the path you agreed to walk. The inner war was the training. Why dual chosen ones are prepared through pain. There's a reason your life hasn't been easy, and it's not because you're cursed, unlucky, or spiritually behind. It's because your soul chose to be forged through fire. You didn't just wake up one day as a duality wielder. You were shaped into it through every heartbreak, every betrayal, every breakdown that made you question whether you'd make it to the next morning. Pain was not your punishment. Pain was your preparation. You see, the universe doesn't hand you the keys to duality without first making sure you can hold both love and rage both forgiveness and justice, both surrender and boundaries, without collapsing into one extreme. And how do you learn that? By being torn apart from the inside out. The inner war you fought for years, between who you are and who you thought you had to be, between your higher self and your wounded self, between the desire to heal and the temptation to numb. It wasn't a sign of failure. It was your initiation into mastery. Most people think spiritual power comes from peace. But real spiritual power, the kind that can shift timelines and alter collective energies, comes from integration. And integration only happens when you've met every part of yourself, not just the light, not just the parts that meditate and journal and say the right things, but the parts that lash out, that doubt, that sabotage, that scream. You had to meet those versions of yourself. You had to hold them. You had to stop running from them. Because only when you stop rejecting your own shadow can you begin to hold others in theirs. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you safe. You're not afraid of brokenness. You've lived in it. You've loved from it. You've risen through it. And so when someone else comes to you in their mess, you don't flinch. You don't try to fix them. You see them. And in that seeing, something sacred happens. They begin to remember who they are beyond their pain. That's the medicine you carry. And it was born through your own blood. This is the seventh and final sign. You've started noticing that your pain has transformed into wisdom. You're no longer just surviving your past. You're teaching from it, even if you're not aware of it yet. Your conversations carry codes. Your silence carries healing. Your presence calms storms. And not because you're trying to do anything special, but because you've become embodied. Your wounds no longer define you, but they inform you. You've metabolized them into gifts. That's what it means to wield duality. You don't just bounce between extremes, you synthesize them. You create a third path, a new frequency, a blueprint the world hasn't seen before. And people are drawn to you not because you're perfect, but because you're real. You've walked through fire and still choose to love. You've lost everything and still choose to trust. You've met your darkness and still choose to shine. That is the rarest power of all. And most of the world won't understand it. But the ones who are meant to will. Now, I want to leave you with this question, one that only your soul can answer. If everything you've suffered was training for your true role in this lifetime, what are you being asked to do next? Not in terms of career or achievement, but in terms of frequency. Who are you being asked to become now that you know who you really are? What part of your truth have you been hiding out of fear that it's too much, too intense, too complex for others to handle? And what if that very part, the one you've tucked away in shame, is the exact medicine someone else is praying for? You are not here to be relatable. You are here to be reminding others of their wholeness, their power, their ability to hold both grief and joy in the same breath. That is the essence of the rare chosen one. You don't eradicate duality. You don't escape it. You wield it gracefully, consciously, and with devotion. And that is the kind of power that doesn't just change lives. It changes realities.